Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of United Talks podcast. Today, we're going to be doing the takeaways from the Manchester United away game at Forest, where Nottingham Forest played a 2-2 draw with Manchester United at the City Ground in Sean Dyche's first home game, and Rúben Amorim's fourth game with the hope of, going on a 4-game winning streak. But we could spin the narratives however we want to. But let's think about it from the perspective of the fact that last season versus Liverpool away, Man United drew. This season we won. Last season versus Brighton at home, Man United drew. This season we won. Last season versus Nottingham Forest, rather, Man United lost to Brighton last season. This season we won. Last season versus Nottingham Forest, Man United lost to Nottingham Forest away. This season we drew. So there is some progress. As much as we want to deny it, there is actually some progress. Man United we saw our 3-game Premier League winning streak, end, but also rescued a point thanks to Amad Diallo's individual brilliance of his half volley. Amad Diallo scored a stunning late volley to rescue a dramatic 2-2 draw for Manchester United against Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. The Red Devils appeared, poised for the defeat on the first anniversary of Rúben Amorim's appointment as manager after making a dreadful start to the second half, obviously. But United leading at halftime through Casemiro's header from the 4th minute, Bruno Fernandes' corner as well, creating the assist for Casemiro, which Forest also insisted should not have been awarded. Meanwhile, we could see that the ball was out, but everybody just, trying to create a narrative, obviously. But a quickfire goals from Morgan Gibbs-White and Nicolo Savona in the space of 102 seconds turned the game on its head after the break. Yet, Amad intervened in magnificent fashion with 9 minutes remaining to secure the share of the spoils and almost snatched the 3 points in the dying moments when his last gap strike was cleared off the line by Murillo. United could have gone, second in the Premier League table with a victory, but the draw sees us climb to 5th place, while Forest remain in 18th place. But as games have happened today, the Man United fall to 7th or 8th. Let's just a quick look at the table. Man United fall to 7th or 8th. It is what it is. Basically, right now, we're not looking up the table. Even though I know we fall to 8th, we're 1 point off second, right? 1 point off second. We're 1 point off second, and 2 points off second, 1 point off third, and level on points with Spurs, Chelsea, Sunderland. So if we play Spurs, then obviously Spurs are also on a losing run. There's hope for us in that one. So it was good that we got that draw. If we lost the game, it would have made things a little bit worse. We secured the point. We have 17 points from 10 games compared to what we had last season, most likely. Now, if you look at the stats from that game, exactly a year Rúben Amorim took charge at United, Amorim named an unchanged starting 11 in the Premier League for the first time in his 37th top flight match in charge. Even though their 3-game winning run came to an end, Amad's late goal meant United maintained momentum going into next week's trip to Tottenham. Casemiro broke the deadlock with his 15th headed goal scored in Europe's Big 5 leagues. with Sergej Milinkovic-Savic 17, the only central midfielder to better that tally since the start of 2015-16 season. However, the goals from Gibbs White and Savona were the quickest on record that United have conceded 2 goals from the start of the second half in the Premier League game, with 2 goals arriving within 4 minutes and 33 seconds of the second half. Nevertheless, Ahmad rescued a point, meaning Forest have now conceded 16 Premier League goals from set pieces, excluding penalties, in 2025, more than any other side. And it's also marked the first time that the Red Devils have scored twice in a league game, with both goals coming via corners since their 2-2 draw with Aston Villa in 2019. So we're going to talk about the 5 things we learned from the game. We'll talk about bonus takeaways, and we'll also talk about the negatives that we can turn to positives, right? First and foremost, Ahmad's magnificent or moment of magic. That's our Ivorian deliverer. You know, when United needed a spark, it was Ahmad who stepped up again. The volley was pure technique, you know, crisp, confident, composed, and basically the boy just had something, you know, about him. Every time he's on the ball, something happens. He's not just fighting for a place in the starting 11 anymore. He owns the right flank right now. But there are days where he had his off day and all of that. But today was one of the days where he had his off day, and hopefully he gets to even do better the next time he gets the opportunity. But on the day that he was having his off day, that was the day he decided to show us that he can score goals, and that's what it is. So our 3-game winning run got ended. So we've won 3 games back to back, but then we are still unbeaten in 4, which is a good positive. And then, obviously, number 2 takeaway from this is the fact that Casemiro is still a big game bully. You know, that header, vintage Casemiro, strong, fearless, and perfectly timed. He's now scored 3 against Forest, the most, and they must absolutely hate playing against him, right? Say what you will about this, about his legs or his form, but you know, this man thrives on chaos. He thrives in leadership, and he thrives in chaos, and his leadership, aerial dominance, and pure desire has come forth to show, especially in the last 4 games. And amazingly, he didn't get a yellow card in this game, you know. And that's Casemiro. That's the Casemiro that United need week in, week out. At least he gets 1 game a week, so it's easier for Man United to get to play him, and he played the full 90 minutes in that one. So it's a good positive we can take from that, a good takeaway. And then obviously the third takeaway we're going to take from here is that the mentality is sinking in. A year into the job, you can see it. The United side doesn't crumble. You know, they might wobble, but they don't break. After going behind in the early second half, old United teams might have folded normally, right? But not this one. Amorim's United kept the composure, controlled phases, and also clawed it back. That's mentality building right there. And obviously, Ahmad's ball was cleared off the line. If Murillo was not there, that's a clean goal, and we're 3-2 up. And even when Man United, if you watch along, even when Man United had gone 2-1 down, I was still confident that Man United were going to come back, albeit it wasn't to be, but it is what it is. So it is what it is. We move on. The fact is, Man United got the necessary, dropped 2 points, but it was necessary for us to not lose that game, and you know, to keep the momentum going ahead of the Tottenham game. And the next one we have, number 4, is that Lammens earns he keeps earning trust. You know, this is his 4th game and he hasn't lost, you know. So let's give some love to Senne Lammens. The young Belgian wasn't faultless, but he kept us in the first half, right? And with big stops, with good positioning and composure beyond his years, he's growing game by game, and that confidence radiates through the defense, and Amorim's faith in him looks justified. And that's a fact. But the truth is, we've always wanted a goalkeeper who can do the basics, and Lammens does absolutely the basics. So long may he continue to be unbeaten and all of that, but it is what it is. And the number 5 is the fight is back in United. You could feel it, the desire, the energy, the refusal to go quickly. Even when Forest turned it around, United never looked beaten. The players were, you know, urging each other on, and the tempo was high. And when Ahmad's volley hit the net, the celebration said it all. This team is building a belief again. And yes, in as much as I never wanted Ahmad to celebrate the goal, I wanted him to grab the ball and run to the center of the pitch so that we can try to go and get the next goal. It was a good relief to see that Ahmad scored a goal again from a volley, his first goal of Premier League season. So long way continue as well for him to continue to score. Let everybody contribute to his. Casemiro has contributions already. I think he has 3 goals now. Bruno has contributions already. He has 2. Šeško has 2. Mbeumo has 4. Cunha has 1. So everybody's contributing. Everybody needs to contribute. Especially in the front 6 or thereabout, except for Dogo and Diallo, who are, having a tough time, playing for this team. And then we also have 3 bonus takeaways that we can add to our positive takeaways from the game. That's Bruno Fernandes, the conductor. He didn't score, but Bruno was the heart of everything. Corners, through balls, tempo control, and he's Amorim's voice on the pitch. That post rattler, deserved more, but he was dictating like a true captain. There was that shot, and I was like, why is he shooting from there? But bro, he saw that angle, he saw that tight space, and he hit the ball, and he hit the bottom post. Just that our strikers didn't react almost immediately after the deflection, because everybody believed it had gone in. But lo and behold, it wasn't to be, and we couldn't capitalize on that. And then he also, it seems to have been hitting the bar back to back this season. Then we also had opportunities cleared off the line, but then Bruno was center of everything, creating an assist again, creating chances and stuff. And then the next one is Mbeumo's relentless energy. Even when he's not coping, even when he's not scoring, even when he's not, making things as happen as we want them to, he is creating chaos. His link-up play with Ahmad was electric. His pressing was non-stop. He's quietly becoming one of United's most consistent performers this season, barring Matthias de Ligt, who has been a solid performer this season. Then the next one is Shaw's defensive grit. Hudson-Odoi gave him a tough time when he faced the one-on-one, but Shaw stood tall. His block on Igor Jesus's early doors set the tone, but he's also rediscovering the blend of intelligence and physicality that makes him such a complete fullback, especially when he's playing as a left center back. So one of the things I also noticed in that game was the fact that they were all over the place when it came to defending, but they were still organized, because it's kind of like what you call organized chaos. And then turning the negatives into positives, the slow start in the second half was the issue there. Now, yes, 2 quick goals were very painful, but they exposed what Amorim is trying to fix. Focus lapses after halftime. The response that was exactly what you want to see, but learn from it and build from it. The fact is, I noticed another thing that the defenders were not doing. They were not jumping for the ball. The ball came through a cross to the first cross from Yates, and then that Morgan Gibbs-White headed. Ahmad did not challenge for the ball, instead pushed Morgan Gibbs-White, and that actually helped Morgan Gibbs-White to direct the header even more. If it was a situation where he defended against Morgan Gibbs-White to even kind of find a way to obstruct his jump, that would have been better. But Ahmad pushed Morgan Gibbs-White, and then Morgan Gibbs-White had to even corner the header even well to stretch the keeper on the far post. If Morgan Gibbs-White touched the ball probably without Ahmad contesting for it, maybe the keeper could have saved it. But instead of Ahmad defending, Ahmad pushed the player, and the player kind of... So not saying that I'm blaming Ahmad, it's a complete defensive situation where everybody needs to jump when a cross comes in, but people were not jumping. That's what happened the first goal. The second goal, when we now tried to jump, had a situation where obviously they were already jumping higher, and the ball hit wherever it hit to land in the place of Nicolo Savona. Now, the next negative that we can turn to positive is the fact that it's another game without a clean sheet. Defensively, it's still not watertight, but we are seeing structure now. The press looks more coordinated, and even after conceding twice, the backline didn't panic. Small steps in the right direction, but then you also need to talk about not switching off. I know my United fans now, it's very quick for them to pick one player and scapegoat him. All the thing I'm seeing online now is Man United are scapegoating Diogo Dalot. But that's not what we want to see. That's not what we should be doing as fans. What we should be focusing on is trying to build momentum and trying to build, character, trying to build a team that's solid enough to deal with certain situations when it comes to defending and all of that. And then we as fans also need to build our players from the back. Until these players go, no need to start bashing them and saying, drop this guy forever, drop this guy this. You want to drop Diallo. Diallo for who? Dogu that you guys are still going to come and bash again. That's the thing. So you have to wait till Amorim builds his team in his image, then you can now talk about dropping certain players. Now you're saying, oh, Diallo is his favorite and all that. What is it that, don't you know that Diallo must have been showing something in training that Dogu isn't showing enough that will make them drop him and then make Dogu more of an impact player? But no, Man United fans are very quick to kind of scapegoat someone and pick on the person and stuff. So but it is what it is. You have to just kind of move on and evolve from it. And the next one is missed chances and we created plenty of them. Sesko, Ahmad and Bruno, had enough chances to win this game, and that's the positive. The finishing touch will come, but the creativity is there. The team's starting to stick to click going forward, and that is what we need, and that's what we want to be seeing and all of that. But it was a good game. It was a good game. But then, obviously, it also marked the first time that the Red Devils had scored twice in the league game, with both goals coming from via corner since their 2-2 draw with Aston Villa in 2019. So it was a good game overall. We can always turn the negatives to positives, and we can also take very good positives from the game that Amorim has talked about as well, that we can actually use as a momentum to kind of move into the Tottenham game that we need, because Tottenham are a team that we can actually beat now because they are disjointed a little bit and they're all over the place. So we should get a win there, and then we'll be having 4 wins from 5 and 5 games unbeaten. So that's pretty much what it is. And that after the Tottenham game, I think that's international break. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section about all of this and how it panned out for you. What did you think stood out for you in the whole game? And then we can have conversations in the community. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please do like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to Manchester United. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.